Welcome to the Fit Diet Podcast, where we'll learn the processes and habits of healthy eating, exercise, and lifestyle. Food for fitness, if you will, with the founders of MindMuscleMemory.com, Miles Betcha and Greg Rando. Miles' expertise with programs and coaching have led him to training thousands of clients all over for the past 2 decades with enormous success, and he's dedicated himself to transforming the course of fitness and health for many. And his partner, Greg Rando, has his own unique skill set as a professional in the world of bodybuilding, with the ability to teach and inspire all he comes in contact with. Join me now as we discover the secrets of sticky fiber and proper habits and how to implement the MindMuscleMemory.com lifestyle. Welcome in and thanks for listening.
And welcome into the Fit Diet Podcast, brought to you by Mind, Muscle, Memory. That's 3 M's, M3, and the founders, Miles Betcha and Greg Rando. Gentlemen, how are you, Miles? Are you with us? Are you on the line today?
Yes, I'm here. Good to hear your voice, Bobby.
Back at you. Now, where's the third portion of the equation? Greg Rando, how about yourself?
The third flat tire is over here. I'm doing good too, Bobby. Thanks.
Outstanding. Glad to hear it.
Hey, Greg. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, bud. Miles.
Well, you know what the deal is? I was thinking about something when I saw today's topic come up. I thought to myself, indeed, there must be a Santa Claus. Because why must there be why did I deduce to that reckoning and that reasoning? Because if I can lose weight during the holidays without counting calories, surely there must be a Santa Claus. So
right.
we're gonna delve into this topic. See, many people don't think about losing weight around the holidays, right, guys? Most of us are trying to limit the weight we gain. And the norm in our society is to accept that during the holidays, between Thanksgiving and the end of the year, that we're going to gain some weight. It's pretty much expected. And I've also found it curious to learn that most Americans, the average American, gains 7 to 10 pounds during the holiday season. That's 7 to 10 pounds. And it's just expected. And, are we okay with that? So without further delay, Miles, why don't you let us in on this little secret, and I'll just be like one of Santa's elves listening in. How do we lose weight during the holidays without counting calories?
Well, we learn to fill up on the right amounts of dietary fiber, and especially the soluble fiber, the gelatinous sticky fiber. And when we really understand where those food sources are, that we can get a higher volume of dietary fiber, especially like we want people to do early in the meal. So, you right away when you eat more dietary fiber, which is typically lower in calorie a lot of times as well, but it's that gelatinous fiber that sticks everything together in your stomach, and you really you eat a more limited amount of the other higher calorie foods, especially hopefully only small pieces of dessert,
So we don't want to start off with the potatoes or something dense. We want to start off with the gelatinous fibers and then graduate from there during the course of the meal.
Well, it's good you say that. Which food did you say? The potatoes?
As an example, mashed potatoes over the holidays. So we want to steer that towards the latter part of the meal as we progress. No?
Well, actually, that's one of the items that we have on a regular basis, which has actually a lot of gelatinous fiber in it, a lot of sticky fiber. So if we eat the right portion size of that, and it's hey, look at mashed potatoes when you put them on the plate, they're all stuck together, right? And now if your chef doesn't put too much butter in there or too much high calorie things, but really just makes it with the potato and a little seasonings of flavors, whether they're sweet potatoes or regular potatoes, russet potatoes, the other ones, that is just going to be as sticky as it is in your stomach as it is on the plate.
Interesting.
So we actually would want to have that as one of our early foods on our plate that we're having, so that we can gel everything together. And it's actually low calorie.
I've always done it in reverse.
It's low calorie.
I've actually saved that for like. I'll eat the more protein. It's just a habit I've developed. And I'll save like the mashed potatoes or the sweet potatoes for almost like a dessert, and as far as the plate's concerned. But you're saying reverse that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying reverse it. Greg, what do you think about that stickiness that we talk about? That dietary fiber source is going to help so much, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to help a lot of things. It's going to help, digestion and certainly absorption of the food, and it's going to help us control our appetite to some degree and prevent us from overeating along the way. But I think, it's always good to start a meal with some fresh foods if you can, plant-based, whether it's fruit or salad or vegetables and things like that. You get the combinations of fiber in the stomach, nurturing the stomach, and then as you guys were just talking about, then we can fill up on some of the other stuff that may not have as much fiber, much insoluble and sticky fiber, but it's going to contain, maybe protein, some extra calories and things like that that'll fill you up. But if we can, I know for me, if I can get in some of those fresh, easy, digestible, and assimilated type foods that carry a lot of fiber with them, it allows me to be much more comfortable when I do indulge in some of the other, protein or higher carb foods that may not have as much the fiber with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I just was going to say we had a traditional thing of having something like a bean soup. We call it the pasta fagioli because the fagioli is the bean, but it was just small pieces of pasta, but a lot of bean. And, that's a great source of protein and all this dietary fiber. It's delicious. You just have a small bowl of it. And again, that, like you're saying, Greg, kind of nurtures into that, how you're getting your digestive set up and how you have that fiber source coming in, both soluble and insoluble.
Kind of priming the pump.
Right. And I often do this with desserts because, I do have a sweet tooth and I look forward to the varieties of desserts, but I'll always start with some fresh fruit and, look at, maybe some nuts or seeds, things like that. Get some of these, again, some fiber nutrients in there before you have this, there's sugar that, more often than not sugar. And it's, this way here, we're able to not only digest that sugar, that processed food better, and even put it, help to absorb it where it may be usable. But it allows us to, control our appetite too, so we don't then, binge or eat too many of the sweets, or we help to satisfy our system with some of the fresh foods, the fiber-rich foods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think what you were saying, Bobby, in the very beginning there, with how many pounds is somewhat expected to come on because we're eating, and we wanted to always sort of think that you might have a few extra calories on a day or so, but you got to really curb your appetite and have good energy throughout the holiday season, not only just for your workouts, but for all the other activities. And when you really focus on the nutrient, dietary fiber, and you focus on having good meals all the other times, you're not always leaning towards these other sweets and things like that. You really want to have that, the fewer cravings you have throughout the holidays, the better. And dietary fiber is amazing for helping to curb those cravings of like eating too much, because so many people gain. The average study looked at was the average amount of calories people eat are 3,700 calories.
Oh.
And that and they can go up even higher during the holidays.
Wow.
So, having dietary fiber not only, like it says, increases your energy, but also then stops a lot of the cravings of you going and snacking on all these other things around you, and just save maybe, you have a couple extra calories on those days, but not all the way through the whole holiday.
Right. Well, you know what? You think about that equation, 7 to 10 pounds on average, right? And let's say you don't take all that off and you retain, there's a residual effect of, say, a net of 3 to 4 or 5 pounds. Well, that's this Christmas. Come next Thanksgiving and next Christmas, it's going to duplicate or replicate if you don't take action. Subsequently, and subsequent years to follow, the next thing you know, you're down the road and you're 30, 35, 40 pounds out of whack. And it takes that much more now to reverse it and get back on course. Of course, during that time, our metabolism tends to slow down a little bit. So it would be wise to take this advice. In addition, Miles, the results from increasing this fiber intake during the holiday season. Some of the other benefits include, you mentioned the fewer cravings, but increased energy and during all the activities. A controlled appetite. It can improve our blood sugar. I would assume if we stay away from those, high refined sugar, desserts and stuff, if we kind of limit those best we can. It also enhances our cholesterol, automatic calorie control, and then controlled weight and weight loss. What is automatic calorie control? Was that a function of ingesting the fiber intake?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Greg speak to that, because you actually mentioned, Greg, you said kind of control your appetite earlier, like how in between meals, you're not feeling like you need extra food, or maybe in a meal you, like you said, you kind of prime with those really fresh foods and those things, and then can you really pound up a lot of calories on top of that or not? So I was gonna have. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah. No, it speaks to it all the time, and this is really what I take this very much into consideration when I build my meals throughout the day, whether it's meal 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, because as we talked about, if we can begin by ingesting a variety of plant-based, whether it's salad, whether it's fruit, or some nuts and things like that, we know what these combinations of fiber do to the stomach area. It helps to fill that area up, and by providing that gelatinous makeup, and because of that, it allows for portion control, controlling portions and our appetite, and because of our ability to now fit more food in while we've already, begun by, providing the balances of fiber that really kind of fill us up and help with the digestion of those sugars and things, and with the sweets. But that intake of fiber is going to help us control our portions and our intake of, moderate our intake. And this is what I pay a lot of attention to when I build my meals, because I want my meals to last me 3, sometimes 4 hours. And just by tinkering around with the combinations, whether it's more grains and a little less beans, or more beans and more vegetables, a little less grains, however it breaks down, we try to create a balance of these nutrients that help to provide that sustainability. And we can also do this by mixing foods with the plant-based foods, and having the sweets and high carb, high protein foods that we like. We still want to make sure we get in those fibrous nutrients to help digestion, and then to, like we talked about, limit our consumption and control our appetite.
Yeah, definitely. So that automatic calorie control is kind of that function. Is that we're saying, in the experience. So Greg, like you're saying, you got to experience it sometimes. That, like, okay, I didn't really eat enough to, and I feel like I can eat more of maybe the wrong foods, because I didn't really fill up enough with the dietary fiber. But sometimes you
Right.
feel like you've filled up good with the dietary fiber. All of a sudden now you feel like you've lasted 3-4 hours of sustained energy, and you're hungry, and you just feel really even on your blood sugars and everything. Then you're like, yeah, that meal is great. I'm going to keep repeating that and having some variety with it. But boy, that's a good meal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's when I notice that I'm not wanting to graze or snack in between meals. I know that I'm finding that balance within each meal to help with that sustainability. And sometimes we construct my meals a little smaller, and I'll have a snack. The snacks like we're talking about, nuts and an apple to give me that fiber to hold me over to my next meal and keep my energy up in between meals. So
there's nothing wrong with having that.
True.
Right, and which brings me to a point here when we're trying to control it. Snack wisely. It's just there's cheesecake and cookies and things all over the place, and there's a time and a place for that. But if we can, snack wisely and choose some of these foods, be more selective, then that will give us room to taste everything else and help us to control our weight throughout these times. Yeah,
makes good sense. Yep, absolutely.
Oh yeah, totally. And with that, I listened to a sort of a talk today. A sports professional. She said that at a certain point she really liked having and I don't want to name the company, but it was a chai tea latte. And she noticed that after about a certain number of months, that her uniform wasn't fitting right anymore. and so she looked at the pattern of how many of those drinks that she was having per week, and she analyzed that it was what did she have? 53 calories of sugar on each one of those. So she was having like the equivalent of 2 large pieces of cheesecake twice, like per week on just sugar from those drinks. So she had to change her pattern and just use that chai latte as like I'll have one of my favorites every once in a while, every month or two, taking some time, but she couldn't burn off all that extra sugar, all that extra calories. So like what you said, Greg, having an apple and some walnuts for your snack and all the fiber, the calories is so limited on that compared to especially sugar calories compared to something that people are normally having a pattern on having, right?
Right. Not to mention it's going to and it's going to work with our metabolism instead of against it. So now we'll be able to control our weight going forward while we eat, while we continue to intake rather than restrict. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and nourish and have the energy from it, so we can actually even get better maybe workouts would be better performance.
Yeah, better fuel. It's better fuel,
right.
Sustained energy. It's a slow burn rather than that spike that we would otherwise experience. Well, we're talking with Miles Betcha and Greg Rando, founders of Mind Muscle Memory. Head on over to mindmusclememory.com. Check out the blog, the M as in Mary, M3 blog. You'll find this article and many others, how to lose weight during the holidays without counting calories. I like one of the benefits when incorporating sticky fiber into our diets during this time of year. One of the things we can cross off the list when we add, stressing about the dessert table at the office holiday party. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, you could be having a one-on-one conversation with somebody over the dinner table, and that dessert tables, it actually starts to talk to you if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And moreover, you're apt to listen. So it's so important. Yeah, it's so important, especially Greg. I can empathize with yourself having that sweet tooth. And what a great point you bring up about the lattes. That's a creeping in type of scenario. It's insidious. My uniform's a little snug, and it takes a little introspection to go back and do some forensics and figure out where and why I went off the rails. And yeah, 53 calories. What is it? A sugar grams rather. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. And
so it's 212 calories of sugar.
Yeah, and the cumulative effect is going to be that snug uniform and the frustration that can accompany that. With why aren't I? I'm doing everything else right, but it's just something that simple. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Greg.
Well, you both brought up activity and workouts and stuff, and that's another thing about the holidays that I would see in my business with my clients. The holidays bring a lot comes with them, right? The company and gatherings,
yes.
And our schedules get kind of thrown off and change a bit. So naturally people may go off their routines, their fitness routine, their eating routine a bit, but we have to do our best to try to maintain some sort of routine, continue, as we said in the past, to keep getting these fibers in with each meal. Just make an attempt to get them each meal. But the one thing that I notice a lot, and it's very, very common and understandable, but, come this time of year, people cut back on their workouts because of other things going on in their
commitments,
lives.
Other commitments,
we just need to understand that, there's going to be extra sitting on the couch and sitting at the table and ingesting drink and food. So we need to continue to move. Even though it's the holidays, there are people around, we need to find that time in the day to move and burn and continue the calorie burn, the output, and the metabolism boost that we get from all the activity and the foods that we try to implement regularly.
Greg, let me ask you this question, because I along with that dessert table that calls me, adult beverages, right? Cocktails. These are typically, drinks.
You like those?
I'll imbibe, I'll indulge, but in moderation, I must say. I'm a responsible adult drinker.
Okay.
But, you got all that sugar in there. And, if somebody sits down and offers you, a cocktail, whatever it might be, there's that is also another kind of a facet to that chai tea or latte that the young lady was sharing today with you, Miles. That is something else, because we're at these gatherings and we're not necessarily on our game at the club, at the gym, working out as much because we've got commitments, and it's so easy to default. How do you go about combating that? I mean, I think that's more of a mental thing, but nonetheless, I think it ties in, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I would
a little
definitely
bit.
say it would. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, and I think it's. I mean, if I understand the question correctly, it's kind of like having a sweet or a treat at the end of a meal. We might have a beverage or two at the beginning, and it's part of enjoying ourselves and the social environment that comes along with it. But just like the food itself that's put on the table, a lot of that is very rich, very heavy foods that we don't eat routinely, but we can make choices. So, I know that when I go out to eat and I may have a drink or a couple drinks, I'm more inclined to select a cleaner, more healthy meal to kind of balance that or counteract the calories that may come in with the alcohol. So, it's kind of like eating sweets. You want to try to get those berries and nuts maybe in there at first to get, give yourself some assurance of good nutrition and digestion, and then go ahead and enjoy yourself and have that sweet, So it's not like we're saying, even in M3, we don't completely 100% all the time, all of us cut out protein. We still may have small portions of animal protein. So, everything in moderation there. We just always try to look at fiber and see how we can select and incorporate those fibers in our meal. And that's really going to help us, with our health going forward to be able to deal with,
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We say there's no food that we're saying, hey, you can't have some of that. We're just saying, what is your timing of it, or how much, what's the volume of that? And And it's something that might be helpful, Bobby, for the one you just said is that if you say, oh yeah, I'm going to have like you said, an adult beverage, but is there a little can of peanuts, or is there some type of cocktail nut mix there? That's what we've always used to have, is a cocktail where it's cocktail mix. It's different nuts, cashews and almonds and peanuts and things, and you just snack on that a little bit, and then that would combine with the food you might have in the beginning of your meal. Like Greg said, maybe it'll be a salad. It'll be eating the vegetable platter, right? There's nothing like having vegetable platter and some of that cocktail mix of nuts, and then all of a sudden you notice, well, I'm filling up a little bit here. I don't have to overindulge on anything. But so nothing's per se, like I said, nothing's off limits. It's just, well, what's the portion size? And again, like you said, how often is it? An everyday chai latte, or is it just this week I'm going to go over and I'm just going to spend this one night enjoying these things and having my vegetable platter with my adult beverage and have a delicious meal. But it's just going to be that, and then you get back to work, and then you kind of get back to your workout, you get back to your regular intakes of good meals. Yeah. And that will curb your whole stress of having. I was going to comment even on the workplace, but the workplace. Oh, they brought in a big table full of sweets, but as long as that's not like a daily occurrence throughout the whole holiday season, but it's only on maybe the Friday beforehand or the something like that, then you're not going to have to over stress on it, because you can taste a couple things and you're not going to get a huge boost in calories and a huge boost of your sugars and things like that. It's just going to sample a few things. Nothing
can satiate your appetite a little bit. You know what? I know it's all socially acceptable. In fact, my wife and I recently noticed, going out to eat and the portions that are served, that what's served up in terms of marketing on the boob tube on the television, we'll watch a family of four eat, and one serving, on a plate could actually feed the entire family of four. It's just for one individual. Now, if you remember, when we were growing up, at least when I was growing up, I was taught to eat everything on my plate. And especially if I took seconds, that was huge. You had to eat everything. And I think a lot of people were encouraged to do the same, which lends itself to some of the obesity scenario. Eat everything on your plate. When these portion sizes, I think just because it's available, just because it's socially acceptable, whether it's an adult beverage, whether it's the dessert table, whether it's the meal itself, we have to make, like you say, Greg, proper choices and evaluate what's important to us. Do we want to be like the norm, or do we want to create a new norm? I don't want 7 to 10 pounds. I got to be honest. It's a bear taking that off. And especially if that has that cume effect that we were talking about earlier over the course of years, next thing you know, you're woefully off course. So crazy.
Wow.
Crazy stuff. But we are talking with Greg Rando, Miles Betcha, from the Mind Muscle Memory team at M3. Cruise on over to the website, check out the blog, check out the articles. You can hear the podcast over there as well, catch up some back episodes. You can sign up with the staff for some coaching. You can shop the swag, the hats, the tees. Got a new batch of hats in. Check them out. Sport the brand. Be a sport and sport the brand. But we've been talking about how to lose weight during the holidays without counting calories. I think it's a wise article to delve into prior to. We're creeping up on them, and it's a timely topic, fellas. Thanks for sharing, Miles and Greg.
Yeah, it's been great.
Thank you, Bobby.
It's been
great. We always like to, as mind muscle memory coaches here, we always like to say it's not really what we want you to remove from your eating plan or your diet. It's what we would like you to add into it. And that's what we talk about when we discuss, fiber, these different kinds of fiber and the variety of foods that we try to attempt to get in our diet to ensure that we bring in that balance of fiber, and then if we can do that, we can really maintain our energy and our focus, and we just don't have to get up in the morning and ruin what we've done all year throughout the holidays because of a lack of focus or
discipline,
a lack of, mindful eating.
Education,
I saw that
too.
term.
Education. I mean,
yeah.
How many folks you think are out there, myself included, that you just kind of you kind of go on autopilot. It's almost mindless. But what you're talking about is absolutely actually flipped. It's not deprivation of what you cannot eat. It's let's introduce what you can eat. Sort out the timing, sort out the portions, make good decisions, and you'll be off to the races.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yep.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Well, gentlemen, it's been another quick episode of the Fit Diet Podcast, and you've been listening to with once again your founders, Miles Betcha and his partner Greg Rando. I'm your host, Bobby Stein, and until next time from the Fit Diet Podcast and Mind Muscle Memory, we ask you to take good care and thanks for listening.